material out. What's going on? Are you releasing this without me? Call me now.
If you've been following along with our show, maybe by now you've created some new music and visual material. What's next? Navigating the music industry can be tough. It's time to let people know about your project. Press releases, music videos, release parties. Let's talk about what works.
I think that's kind of your entrance into music right there as a young person, just seeing music being played live and you get an idea of what it's like and you're like, wow, I want to play it instead of just listen to it.
To get in with the crowd, maybe a band or whatnot, and then the entrance is your interest. The maze is trying to work it out with your life and trying to make it a living and trying to be able to keep doing it because we all have, jobs or whatnot. Like we gotta survive. So the maze is figuring out how to survive your contentment and your happiness in what you're doing musically or artistically. That's the exit. As far as like getting successful in the music industry, that's kind of arbitrary, I think. I think the real answer is we're all in it because this is what we love to do. I think the music industry has changed a lot right now. It used to be like get a record deal. Now it's do it yourself. Right now we're kind of in the baby steps of like every single band is do it yourself. Like in fact, we've gotten record deals from certain record companies and we just see it and we're like, that's either it's not that great or we could do it ourselves. So why not just do it ourselves? In the end, we're going to make more money doing it ourselves. So like the industry in that way, it's kind of new. The old model of a record company taking care of your expenses, your touring, your recording and everything, but then they get a huge cut, like that's out the door now.
Lucrative record deals are a thing for boomers and dinosaurs. In today's age, most artists follow a DIY mantra and outsource only when necessary.
And we're all doing it ourselves. And the beautiful thing about that is that we can all help each other. When we figure out how to get a little further in the maze, somebody says, oh, do this. And then everybody does it. All the bands follow.
This is our fierce leader right here, AKA manager. His wife does a lot of the social media photography stuff.
Like, what is your ultimate goal? Do you want to start your artistic project because you want an out, like a hobby? You want to start an artistic project because you want it to be your career, your living, then it's like everything else, you make those sacrifices to make it happen. And like Ivan said, it's always about taking each other on, like under the wing. So if somebody's been successful, if you yourself are being successful and we're lucky to get a breakthrough, it's the opportunity to get those teachings and share that knowledge with the rest of the people who are within your community and circle to bring them with you, because yes, you can do it all by yourself, but it's always easier when there's a group tackling the same goal and everybody can accomplish it. By us creating this project, I feel like we're also able to bring other artists into what we're trying to do and making them part of the journey that we're having by collaborating with them, because we'd rather go and give the money to you because you're a great visual artist and go and pay a company who can do it digitally because they already have templates. I'd rather help the small businesses or fellow artists, and that's the beautiful thing. Always do it yourself. I think the important thing is that like you're able to pick and choose, like cherry pick which things you need help with. Like Ivan was saying, a lot of people don't need record deals anymore, but you might be able to okay, I want to put like a great vinyl, and then you go to the person who helps you print those things. So I'm very bad at booking. Instead of having a manager for my band, because managers, we're doing it great already. Let's find someone who has this contacts. Let's pay them to like help us with this. Like you can cherry pick instead of like all or nothing.
Barter.
Trading and bartering is an excellent tactic. If you need music production, photography, or professional art, try a trade. When collaborating, offer to trade playing your instrument for some guest vocals on your band's track. You never know what might work. When sharing your music, always consider your goals. Whether it's booking gigs, digital sales, audio sync deals, or to win a Grammy, consider setting a realistic goal and taking steps to reach it.
To promote my music, I mean, it's 2019. I rely heavily on social media, so Instagram is one of the big ones right now. Facebook's still kind of there, but I mostly just like press the little button on Instagram, like post to Facebook. Yes, post to Facebook. there we go.
With Facebook looking more and more like an abandoned retail mall, Instagram and TikTok are excellent places to share music and music videos. Services such as DistroKid are an excellent and affordable way to get your music out to lots of platforms, from Spotify, Apple, and Amazon to Instagram and TikTok. You want your music available everywhere possible.
So, like if I have big shows coming up, or right now we're gearing up to release our album, I've been reaching out to a lot of like radio shows or folks like you guys who do series and stuff. Yeah, just reaching out to as many different news outlets and or like podcasts as possible, especially if we're trying to promote something. And then when we go on tour, I'll reach out to local radio stations, see if they can fit us in for like a short live set and a small interview or something. That always really helps to get people out to our shows. There's people who are hired specifically for that reason, to like manage your Instagram or your social media presence. Having like some kind of set schedule, like, okay, I'm always gonna do a big post on Wednesdays and Sundays and then stories here and there, like that kind of stuff is really important. So I kind of schedule things out for myself for the week. Like I'll say, okay, I'm gonna post all of these pictures or like videos or things, and I'll have them ready. Like, okay, these are these days, and this is gonna be a big post, and these are gonna be smaller posts. Knowing when your audience is online is also really important. Just learning as much as you can about social media and how those algorithms work, so that you know that your posts are reaching as many people as possible and engaging as many people as possible.
Things for people to interact with and to respond to and create like a dialogue, because the more you can engage people, the more they're going to like really connect.
When I'm reaching out to radio or magazines or anything for write-ups or interviews, it depends on who I'm contacting. Some prefer physical like mail-ins, like a couple of CDs and a typed out bio and photos, all that stuff, and that's definitely useful for like maybe more established things like the LA Times or like, you know, the bigger ones that are receiving massive amounts of email. Sometimes a physical kit can go a long way. But if I'm reaching out to like more local things, especially if I'm on tour and just reaching out to a smaller like college radio station or a local radio station or a local podcast, an email, an electronic press kit can be just as helpful. So I have like a written out like introduction of the band, almost like a cover letter, like for a job, like here's who we are, here's why we're amazing and fun, and then links to all of our videos, like I have our YouTube channel link.
From sending your stuff out to the blogosphere to be reviewed, to mailing posters and CDs and cupcakes to college radio stations, you want to maximize your chances of being heard by the right audience. Some important press kit advice is knowing the audience receiving it and tailoring it to them. In addition to sharing your recorded material, performing is a must. If you want to book gigs, be prepared to start out small and build a reputation that you can book tickets and throw a great party. From their first gigs to the stars they are now, let's chat with some friends about performing.
First performance in the Caves guitar shop, I was like 12 years old, and it was just an open mic. We played a couple songs and was extremely nervous, but just got through it. That was the first time.
My first actual performance in front of the crowd was actually doing Ballet Folklorico in Mexico City, and it was for one of those like Mother's Day events that you do at school, but it was like at the theater. And then my first musical experience was actually with this guy. We started doing a psychobilly band with him, his brother, and another friend called the Psychobilly Flapjacks.
My first experience playing with the band, I guess the official band, was Alex and I had a band back in like 2006. Well, anyway, we played a backyard party. Named it Willow Fest because we had to transplant a tree.
In high school, it was a talent show. You know, we just played with the band, did a cover one of our songs. We covered System of a Down's Toxicity, and it was good.
In the mid-90s or late 90s, it was a place called Carlos O'Brien in San Bernardino. Or either that place, or that place Carlos O'Brien. Either that or it was a Noise Attic. There was another place here in town, but it was around that time.
Well, my first dance performance was at a wedding. I was in a Ballet Folklorico dance group, and I practiced for over a year before I was ready to perform, and I still messed up. But the whole time we were just really nervous and excited. Yeah, we made mistakes, but it's that's the kind of mistakes that I feel like we notice as dancers, but the audience is just like, oh, she turn the other way, cool, or whatever.
Singing Linda Ronstein's Los Laureles when I was 10 years old for my parents' wedding. My mom got remarried. So there was like a live mariachi band, and I had so much confidence at 10 years old. And yeah, I sang a solo.
When I was a kid, and starting off with my brother and my dad, you know, playing music in the house. They had almost like a monthly or even a bi-weekly jam at the house where like over 10 musicians would come over and they played rock and roll and blues.
I was bailando de raspa, la raspa, yo bailé. After that, my first performance is with a band called Orgullo Café from Boyle Heights. Actually, my first band ever. Shared it with him. Like backyard boogie parties to, you know, hitting the mainstream, all down Sunset, Hollywood, everywhere.
When I first started playing the guitar, started catching on real quick. And my first performance in front of people was a talent show. And I was frying that day, I remember that. I played the national anthem, but the Jimi Hendrix style. Some lady that she organized some community event, and she wanted to show people from the ghetto, you know, playing, you know, music and trying to get out of that lifestyle. So it was a small little banquet, you know, and I played some blues song that I wrote on my own.
Like a backyard gig was my first live performance.
My first performance on sax in front of people was surely an elementary school band. Those Coulter started performing about 10 years ago in coffee shops, house parties, and art galleries, and moving on to bars, stages, and larger festivals in big cities.
When I was, I think maybe 16, and I went to an open mic with my guitar, and I sang, gosh, what did I sing? I sang Nosotros, which is a bolero made famous by Trio Los Panchos. And I was super scared and freaked out and forgot half the words. And the people in the coffee shop were so nice and were like, keep going, girl, keep going. So I like gathered myself and finished the song. But yeah, that nervousness stayed with me for a while. My first performance with the band, it was the same. Like there's pictures of it and I was like stuck to the microphone and I have this like fear on my face, like just trying to get through the set. Eventually I got over it. My group got asked to perform in Santa Cruz at a spot called Moe's Alley. It was the first time my mom had come to see me, and she told me before the show, because she was a performer and had been singing for years by that time, and she was like, you know, Mika, I know that you are struggling with you know, your nerves right now, and I'm also a really shy person, so it was hard for me to break out of my shell. And she said, you know, just don't worry about anyone who's here. Think of how proud your abuela would be right now if she could see you. And I'm right here, I'm watching you. You've got all of this energy with you on stage tonight. Just do your best. And so I walked on stage, and the first song I was a little bit, you know, nervous and stiff. And then something, like I saw my mom's face out in the crowd, and she had this big old smile, and she was dancing with my tia, and something just like switched in me, and I really let loose, and I was dancing and just having a good time. I ended up like walking down into the crowd and dancing with my mom at some point, and just like doing things on stage that I had never done before, like leaving the microphone stand finally, because that was my spot always, just like right behind the microphone, not moving. And I finally left the microphone stand and took the mic off the stand. I was all over the place. I actually started to find myself as a performer and who I am on stage, what my persona is. And of course from there, you know, it develops over time.
One of the big performances that we had as Spaghetti Cumbia inside the Coliseum with the LA Rams and stuff. You know, they gave us the opportunity to play for them in our community. They still promoted hashtag Vamos Rams.
Vamos Rams.
Probably our best gig was we got invited to play at the Eclipse party on the rooftop of the library. It was our biggest show. There were a ton of people there, and it was just really cool. We got to play right up until the total eclipse, and then we got to see the eclipse and got to be a part of all that.
Because dynamic performers, like, it's one thing to stand on a stage and you're just playing and, like, you know, I'll just buy your album. If you're not going to give me a good show, I'll just buy the album and listen to you at home. I'm not going to pay for the price of tickets and parking and all the stuff and then the expensive beer at the venue. If you're just going to stand there and perform, like, I will always go to see a group that I like. If they have a really wonderful dynamic performance, you're going to give me the full show. I got to see Wanda Jackson recently, and she's in her late 80s, so she wasn't dancing around and, like, doing all the stuff. She herself was seated, but she's a storyteller, and it was such an incredible experience. It was dynamic in a different way, like, just because she wasn't dancing around and moving around like she probably used to back in her day. She captivated the audience. All eyes were on her the entire time, just this little tiny woman sitting on her stool singing her hits. And between every song, she was telling us stories about how the song came to be, or, oh, on this one tour, I played this song and this and that, or, oh, when I wrote this song, Elvis had just given me his class ring or whatever back when they used to date. And it was just such an incredible experience that you can't get just from listening to the album. So those are the shows that, I don't care how expensive the tickets are, I am there.
I've played in bands with lasers and fog machines, and I won't knock them. Audiences love shows with good visual components, from animated video projections, beach balls and lasers, to costumes, dancing, storytelling. A visual aesthetic and crowd interaction cannot be underestimated.
To play, we like to, you know, wear our cool clothes, you know, we wear our hats and get dressed up nice, and we like to participate with the crowd and get in there, you know. We like to go off into the crowd a little bit, bring our drummer out, bring our guitar player out, get a little crowd participation, yeah. You know, we don't have no lasers or smoke or nothing like that, but we try to just get everybody pumped up and mingle with the crowd while we play.
We got the theme going where it's a Western theme. You see the guys wearing their cowboy hats and boots. With me, I'm the indigenous in the group, so I stick to my roots, so I like wearing my feathers. So
we both came from dance backgrounds, so we're used to having, I guess, a stage presence. We're used to having a stage presence. We try to teach people. Like, one of my favorite things is to be on stage dancing and doing a kind of, in a way, complicated step that maybe is not so easy to get. But I see people in the audience trying to follow along. That's one of my favorite things. I love to get people dancing with us. We definitely feed off of each other as well. Like, we're all always looking at each other, either because we're trying to just be in sync or because we're just getting each other hyped up, basically. My mom actually makes our skirts.
Your mom is really talented.
She's made two of them so far, yeah.
Even like the visual aesthetic of it, it's just, I think that is a huge factor that helps us. You know, when like Louis was saying, their background is folklore. They've been doing folklore for many years. That's the amazing door that they're able to open to different audiences, right? Because sometimes you'll hear a rhythm and you're like, oh, I don't know what this is like. It sounds cool, but I don't know how to dance it. But you're seeing them do it, and they're like, oh, I guess I can do this too. Like, so it's great, you know.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about touring.
Touring is fun, but it definitely takes a lot of logistical planning if you want to have, like, a scheduled tour. You got to find your anchor gig. That means finding at least one well-paying gig that will cover your expenses, your travel expenses, and then will cover, like, if you find a couple of other gigs to put around it, maybe they don't pay as much, you at least have that one anchor gig that's going to give you the money to survive the tour and, like, feed your musicians. We just got back from a small Southwest tour. We went to Arizona and New Mexico, and I started with my anchor gig, which was in Santa Fe Bandstand. And then from there, I reached out to other cities that I knew were going to be along our path, making our way back home from Santa Fe to Los Angeles. When you're on tour as just the band member, like, pure fun all the time, showing up to gigs, getting treated well, you got your green room that's fully stocked. It's great. And then going on tour as a manager, which I have been doing recently now that I'm managing this group, it's still a lot of fun, but it's definitely a lot of work as well in between times. So while the band is over there taking shots, you're frantically making phone calls to make sure that your hotel reservations are okay, and that the bass amp that you had to borrow from somebody is going to be dropped off in time, and that, oh, we had to hire somebody to play bass on this gig from out of town, so he's flying in, and make sure that we got the taxi ready. And it's a lot. And even at those times when you're just traveling in the car and you've got the band and we're all packed in like sardines with our equipment, and it's hot because you're driving through Arizona and it's 110, and every time you step out of the car you like melt a little bit and then you rush back into the AC. It's fun. There's nothing quite like it, and it really bonds musicians in a different way than, you know, just playing local gigs, and you show up to the gig and you see each other at rehearsal and then you all go home and it's nice.
With that in mind, I'm going to hit the road. For our final performance this season, Los Coulters have booked a house party with some other bands in Kansas City. Los Coulters play experimental sax and drum-heavy cumbias, merengues, mambos, and dembos. The group is made up of brothers John and Mark Coulter. Make sure to visit their website and check out their animated music videos.